Dear friends, welcome to our channel. Today we'll take a journey into a complex but fascinating question. Which religion can be considered the most logical, the least contradictory, and the closest to science? For centuries, this question has intrigued thinkers, philosophers, and scientists. Religion and science are two vast worlds of human culture. One is built on faith and spiritual traditions, the other on observation, experience, and verifiable facts. But is there common ground? Can we point to a religion that stands closer to a scientific worldview than others? Let's begin by noting that different religions rest on different foundations. The Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, see the world as the creation of a higher intelligence. Eastern traditions such as Buddhism and Taoism focus more on understanding the inner world of a person and achieving harmony with nature. And then there are outlooks that don't rely on gods in the usual sense, but instead propose philosophical models of reality. For example, Deism. To understand which religion is closer to science, we need to look at several criteria. First, logic and consistency. If a belief system contains too many dogmas that directly contradict observable reality, it will hardly be seen as rational. Second, attitude toward verifiable facts. Does the religion encourage investigation of nature and allow knowledge to grow? Or does it limit inquiry in favor of fixed doctrines? Third, practical value. Religion is not only about explaining the origins of the universe, but also about shaping human consciousness, behavior, and inner well-being. Now let's look at some specific traditions. Buddhism is often described less as a religion and more as a philosophy. It does not demand belief in a divine creator, but focuses instead on personal experience and self-knowledge. Its founder, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, sought to understand the nature of suffering and find ways to overcome it. His approach is remarkably similar to the scientific method: observation, analysis, conclusions, and practical steps. The Buddhist teaching on impermanence and cause and effect connections echoes modern scientific views of a dynamic universe. Contemporary studies of meditation confirm its influence on the brain, the psyche, and even physical health. Importantly, Buddhism doesn't place itself in opposition to science. It presents a philosophy that can integrate smoothly with a scientific outlook. Taoism is an ancient Chinese tradition centered on the idea of the Tao, the Great Way or natural order. It emphasizes harmony, balance, and the interplay of opposites. Taoists see the world as an interconnected whole, a view that resonates with modern theories in ecology and system science. Taoism does not impose rigid dogmas. Instead, it encourages observing, understanding, and aligning with the natural flow of things. This also parallels the scientific spirit, which seeks to discover the laws of nature and live in accordance with them. The Abrahamic religions Christianity, Islam, and Judaism have played immense roles in human history. They shaped cultures, moral principles, and philosophy. But in terms of logic and closeness to science, it depends on interpretation. A literal reading of sacred texts may clash with modern scientific findings. For instance, the idea of the universe created in a few days doesn't align with cosmology or the theory of evolution. Yet many theologians interpret these texts symbolically. They see them not as factual descriptions, but as metaphors and profound images. In such an approach, religion and science stop being adversaries. Religion becomes a source of ethics and spirituality, while science remains the method for understanding the external world. Deism deserves special mention. This worldview gained popularity during the Enlightenment. Deists believe that the world was created by a higher intelligence or first cause, but that it has since developed according to natural laws. The divine principle here is not a constant overseer, but the origin of those very laws. This position is very close to a scientific view of the universe. It allows for the study of nature without the need for miracles. For deists, God is the architect of the universe, and everything afterward unfolds by principles that can be discovered and understood. So far, we can see that Buddhism and Deism are often perceived as the most compatible with scientific reasoning. In the first part, we reviewed major world religions and their relationship to logic and science. Now let's go deeper and ask what exactly makes a religion closer to, or further from, a scientific worldview. Science and faith, conflict or partnership. It's often said that science and religion are in conflict, but this isn't entirely true. Science answers the question how the world works, while religion often answers the question why. Science investigates facts and laws. Religion provides values and meaning. When these domains overlap, tension arises. But if we see them as complementary, balance becomes possible. Why Buddhism is seen as logical. Buddhism proposes practices of self-observation. This resembles internal experimentation. A person meditates, studies their own thoughts and emotions, and evaluates the results firsthand. It is an individual path, but one that is repeatable. Modern brain research confirms that Buddhist practices shape neural connections, improve attention, and reduce stress. In this way, Buddhism is not in conflict with science, but in dialogue with it. Why Taoism resonates with modern thinking. Taoism teaches alignment with natural processes. This is similar to ecological thinking. Nature has its own laws, and humanity should live in harmony with them, not against them. Such an outlook is especially relevant today, in an age of ecological crises. The Taoist focus on balance and interconnectedness recalls scientific concepts of systems, from ecosystems to the cosmos, the Abrahamic religions and science. The complexity of these traditions lies in the fact that they developed in times before the scientific method existed. Their texts can appear mythological, but if read symbolically, they offer lessons in justice, harmony, and human responsibility. Modern theologians attempt to reconcile faith and science by viewing God not as a competitor to natural laws, but as their source. In this way, religion ceases to oppose science and instead serves as a framework for ethics and meaning. Deism as a bridge between faith and reason. Deism can be seen as a midpoint between religion and philosophy. It does not rely on miracles or dogmas, but simply affirms that the universe has a first cause. Beyond that, everything follows natural laws. This worldview is closest to science because it doesn't contradict empirical facts. Final perspective. If we were to choose the most logical religion, it would likely be Buddhism. It does not require belief in supernatural events and instead emphasizes direct experience and practice. Its philosophy of impermanence and causality mirrors a scientific mindset. If we speak of a worldview most compatible with science in a philosophical sense, then deism takes the lead. It allows belief in a first cause while fully embracing the natural laws revealed by science. The broader conclusion, however, is that religion and science can coexist. Religion helps answer questions of meaning, while science reveals how the world functions. When they don't compete but complement each other, people can draw wisdom from spiritual traditions and power from scientific discovery. Dear friends, thank you for joining me on this thought-provoking exploration. I hope this discussion gave you new perspectives on religion and science. Stay tuned for more and see you next time.